I want to tell you about how I walked back into the world. There was no sign, no moment of clarity, no voice from above. The truth is, I got back to my life because my mom needed help picking a software program. That's it. That's the whole opening of this story. If you're sitting somewhere right now thinking your return has to be a big, dramatic moment, a comeback announcement, a viral story, a now I'm back speech, I want you to hear what really happened to me. The way I came back into the world was small, ordinary, and almost embarrassingly practical. I think that's how a lot of real returns actually look. A quick recap because this episode picks up where the last one ended. After I told my parents the truth, I came home in October of 2023. I spent a year mostly inside myself, going to the ocean front, sitting with questions, crying, not building anything, not producing anything, just letting the layers come off. But I was still useful in small ways. I would help my dad with his businesses. He runs the Just Generation Foundation and a few other things. I would do research for him, help him think through whatever he was working on. I was never not contributing. I just wasn't out in the world. I wasn't in front of people. I wasn't building anything that had my name on it. Then one day my dad asked me to help my mom. She owns a child development business called Light Years. She had been using a daycare management platform called Brightwheel, and she wanted to look at alternatives. He asked me to research it, so I did what I do. I researched a bunch of platforms, and I made my parents a presentation about a different one called Playground. I made the case. They decided to go with it. Then they handed me the implementation. Through the month of October, I rolled out Playground across all 3 Light Years locations. That meant physically going to each location, meeting every family, and walking them through sign up. That meant being in rooms with people, talking, smiling. I was limping in front of strangers, being seen. I didn't think about it as coming back into the world. I thought about it as a software project. I finished the rollout in October. There was a small break, like a few weeks where I went back to being mostly at home, doing my dad stuff. And yes, I was still going to the ocean front. Then in November, my mom called. A family friend who worked at the Johnston's Road location needed to take a vacation. So she asked if I could come fill in for the week. And of course, I said yes. The Johnston's Road building had only been open since April of 2024. And by the time I got there, it had maybe 30 kids in it. Most of the building was still relatively empty. It was an old church that my parents had converted. It now has neutral earth tones, fresh paint. It's big and it's open. And there's light coming through everywhere. You can walk down the hallways and see into every classroom. The whole place felt calm. It felt good in there. I want to tell you about my first day because I didn't realize how much it was going to mean. Now, I walked in to do operations. I was greeting families as they came in. I walked the halls. I was going into classrooms, meeting the educators, helping them out. I was feeding kids and being active. Just being there, which was a different thing than I had been doing for a year. At some point, I went and hang out with the infants, and that's where I met a baby I'll call Micah. I was drawn to him, and he was drawn to me. He was an infant, I'm telling you about a baby I had known for less than an hour by the time we decided we were friends. He's 2 now, and he's still at the center. I still see him every day. He talks now too, and he's in the twos classroom. A totally different kid than the infant who looked up at me on that first day. Now, a few times when his mom, she works as a senior educator at a major hospital. When she's needed me, I've kept him for her on weekends and holidays where she had to work. The bond between us has not been broken in 2 years. Now, I'm going to tell you the deeper part of Micah's story in another episode. What happened to his family, the role I ended up playing, the way the universe knew before any of us did. It deserves its own room. But for today, just know that whatever I thought I was walking into that first day at Johnston's Road, I was walking into something much bigger. The kids knew. I didn't. A few days later, I'm outside on the playground. Another little boy comes running over to me. I'll call him Jordan. He'd never seen me before in his life either. I learned later that he had bad anxiety about being at the daycare. They were having to call his mom to come pick him up early all the time. But this kid's hugging me, a kid I'd never met, choosing me out of every adult in that yard. I was supposed to be at Johnston's Road for a week, filling in. That was the assignment. When the family friend came back from vacation, I just kept going. Nobody said, "Brandon, you work here now." My dad didn't say anything, and my mom didn't make it official. I just kept showing up, and they kept handing me things to do. Talking to parents, learning state minimum standards, doing the admin work an administrator has to do, learning on the job and applying it the same day. Over time, my dad stopped asking me to help with his businesses, and my mom started asking me about the center. Now, I was thinking about my body the whole time. What are these parents going to think about my limp? Do I look crazy? Am I ready to be seen? I had all those thoughts, but I went anyway, and nobody said anything about it. They were too busy being glad someone was paying attention to their kids. Then something started to happen that I didn't plan. The parents started commenting on the communication. They were saying things like, "The communication at this center is so good. I've been sending real updates, organizing events, building real relationships with families. I started a monthly parent involvement day. The first one was packed, man. The second one was packed. The third one, we were getting 95 to 98% of all families showing up. And I'm not even exaggerating. The building was full every time. We did a sneaker ball. We started doing field trips. The center stopped being just a place parents dropped their kids and became a place they wanted to be at too. My mom said something to me around that time that I carry with me. She told me she'd been wanting to step back and to move toward retirement. She said what I was bringing to the center at that time, the energy, the events, the way families were responding to it, she was telling me that's exactly what Light Years needed in that season. She said I was doing things she wouldn't have been able to do herself. Now, I went there to fill in for a week, but I ended up building a hub. Now, here's the thing I didn't see until very recently. I had been an academic dean before, years ago, before all of this collapsed. I worked at colleges, supporting students, working with faculty, helping people develop. That was the work I always loved. And when my life fell apart, I assumed that whole part of me was over. that the Dean version of me was finished, that a man with a limp and a year-long blank spot couldn't go back to supporting other people's growth. What actually happened was that the universe handed me the same work in a different costume. Now my parents are the college president. I'm functionally the dean. Instead of college students, I'm working with toddlers and infants and preschoolers. Instead of faculty members, I'm working with educators. Instead of admissions teams, I'm doing the admissions myself. The work is identical. The age range is different. I've been preparing for this role for 15 years and didn't know it. Now, I want you to hear this clearly because I think a lot of men need it. The thing you think you lost, the work you used to do, the version of you used to be, might be waiting for you in a form you don't recognize yet. The universe doesn't rebuild you exactly the way you were. It rebuilds you into the next version using the same materials. Steve Jobs said it once, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking back. So I'm telling you that you might be a few dots into a line you can't see yet. I went to set up software. I ended up running a hub for a community of families. The universe used a software project to get me back into a room with people who needed what I had to give. It knew because I didn't. So here's what I want you to sit with for the rest of your drive. What's a piece of work you used to love? A role? A calling? A part of yourself you assumed you had lost? What if it's not gone? What if it's just waiting in a form you haven't recognized yet? You don't have to figure it out today or tonight or tomorrow, but just stop assuming it's over. I'll see you in the next one.